Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Winning a scholarship to study at top universities in the world is a dream for any student. But to actually pull this off, you need to learn from people who have had an experience doing that. But time is of essence when you prepare for your applications, so you need to learn from the best in the business. For that reason, I have invited Daniel Arauz-Naranjo, who is on a full scholarship at Cambridge University in the UK, to share her experience with us. Daniel is a marine conservationist from Costa Rica. He studied biology at University of Costa Rica and graduated in 2015. He has been working in the marine conservation field in Costa Rica, and during that time, he has become a dive master, field biologist, and then marine conservationist. This year, he has won a scholarship to study Master of Philosophy in Conservation Leadership at the University of Cambridge. Hi Daniel, thank you very much for coming here to share your experience.
Hey, thank you very much, Leo, for giving me this opportunity.
The most notable thing with Cambridge or any other top universities is how diverse the student body is, right? When I study in undergraduate in the US, the student body is about 70-80% Americans, but here is completely different. The top universities are definitely more diverse. And for Daniel, you're from Costa Rica. And in fact, Costa Rica is not so different from Burma in terms of the level of educations you can have locally. But there aren't many top scholars and academics in Burma who study at the top ranked universities, and it's even rare to find someone who wants to share their experience with others. So for me, right, so it took me about 3 years from the first time I made this decision to go study abroad at the top ranked universities and actually get an offer from Cambridge. So how about you? How long did it take for you to prepare adequately to apply to Cambridge or other universities abroad?
Well, I believe I had a particular story, maybe. So I finished my bachelor's degree back in 2015. And as soon as I finished the degree, I thought, okay, I'm going to apply for a university abroad and I'm going to get my master's right away. I applied to the University of Louisiana in New Orleans back in the United States, and I managed to get into the university, but my academic rank was not good enough for me to get the scholarship to enter this university. So it really hit me at that time that in order to compensate for my academic notes and marking, I needed to get some working experience. So I decided to start working and doing field research and trying to get publications and assistance in symposiums and international conferences in order for me to have a better leverage the next time I wanted to apply to a university. So finally, like 5 or 6 years later, after doing lots of work, I decided that it was time to start competing again for places and universities, and that's when I decided to apply to Cambridge.
So I see. So how long did it actually take? So you graduated from 2015, and then when you started doing the symposiums and going on these things, how long did it take, the overall process?
Well, sadly, it was. Well, we live in a very particular time, right, with the pandemic and COVID and all that stuff, right? So my plan and what I did was work very hard and attend symposiums and conferences for about 5 years. And then when it was 2020, actually, I applied for different universities in late 2019, and like the whole process got completely crushed by the pandemic, right? And then suddenly you cannot travel, and there's this bunch of restrictions to go out of your country. So I couldn't manage to do it at that time, and I had to wait until 2022 in order to finally make it. But I believe that having around 5 years of working experience was good enough to start doing it again.
Yeah, that's actually true with me too. Because when I started, right, I thought it would be faster, but then the pandemic hits and and then we have why and everything, and so it also delayed a lot of the things that I was trying to do in my extracurricular activities like AR fan campaigns and things like that. Because of the pandemic, we can't go out and then do the active campaigning in person. So all the work focused on online campaigning, which actually is less effective, I think. So for that reason, it took time. I also applied to other universities in 2020, and then I didn't get a scholarship, so eventually I got one from the National University of Singapore, and then I went there and I studied first, and then next year I apply again, and I got admission from Oxford and Cambridge, and now I'm here. But the point that I like to make is it's not overnight. The process takes a long time for most of the people, because the big element about getting into a top-ranked university is your extracurricular activities, right? So for your extracurricular activity to be successful, it usually takes between 6 to 12 months at the very least, depending on what you are doing. So yeah, if you are really in this process, then you really need to plan way ahead of time, preferably at least 1 year of preparation time. That's the minimum that you are going to need. So let's move on to the application process, right? So how many universities did you apply, and did you explore other universities and programs? You touched on this a little bit, but can you elaborate a little bit further?
Yeah, definitely. Well, my focus on what I've been wanting to do, and the focus that I wanted to give to my professional career has changed during time. So at first, when I first graduated and when I applied to Louisiana, it was a very strictly scientific and biological master's degree, right? And then I got rejected and I started working, and the more I got to work in conservation, you realize that it's not pure science, and you need to have a lot more skills other than to be a good biologist in order to be successful as a conservationist. So I shifted my interest a little bit, and then back in 2020 I applied to the University of California in Santa Cruz, which has a really good marine conservation program. Sadly, I got rejected as well, without being given any feedback or knowing exactly why I got rejected. And then I applied to Cambridge because I've heard of this very good conservation leadership program that has been going on for a while. I have some good friends that have taken this course before, so I had really good recommendations, and that's when I decided, to apply to Cambridge and to give it a shot, and yeah, that got me here.
So if someone else wants to get a master's degree in conservation biology, environmental science, or management, or anything along this line, right? What universities would you recommend other than the ones that you apply?
Yeah, well, there are a lot of universities are starting to get more involved in this type of programs, right, on the environment, on conservation. So it depends on the focus that you want to give, but definitely regarding marine conservation, I can say that the University of California in Santa Cruz, in San Diego, California, they have some really good programs. The University of Bangalore, which is actually in Wales, in the UK, also have one of the best marine conservation programs. Definitely Cambridge and Oxford are very good universities with very good programs. So there's a huge range of universities, sadly mainly focused in Europe and in the United States, definitely.
So once you figure out that you want to attend this program in Cambridge, right, how do you find out more information about this, right? Because what is written on the websites and their social media, the school social media, are all the good things about the school, and it never say anything bad about the school. So but how do you figure out what are the bad things, what are the drawbacks of this program, so that you can make an informed decision?
Yeah, definitely what I believe, or what really changed it for me personally, was meeting someone that has done the program before. And then, like I said, during those 5 years where I was very intensely going to conferences and to symposiums, the University of Cambridge has a very good conference called the Student Conference on Conservation Science. It runs every year. and I attended this conference back in 2018, and there was a little booth from the master's program that had information on the master's, that had some previous students giving information and professors giving information. So knowing someone that did the course before and having the chance to attend to this conference, when you get a little bit more information about the program and how the Cambridge system works, definitely helped me a lot in order to make the decision to apply and to realize that I wanted to come to Cambridge.
So did you talk to any professor or other top course admin before you apply?
Yeah, definitely. And well, I talked to a lot of people during this conference that attended this course. And then this very close friend of mine was a very important factor in order for me to apply and to be successful, I think, getting in the program.
Well, for me, it's different. So thank you very much for sharing that information, because I didn't attend this the conference. In fact, I wasn't even aware of it. But what I attend instead is the open day at the University of Cambridge, and I get to talk to professors, and I talked to some alumni as well, because I knew one from Singapore, so I get to talk to her a little bit, and then I got to talk to another from India and Malaysia as well. So I get a sense of what this program is about and what it entails. But the thing is, the point that we like to make here is you need to find out a lot more information, more than what you can see from the websites. And what else would you recommend other than talking to the professors, talking to the alumni, and what else would you recommend? Like, what else would you find more information?
Yeah, I mean, for this type of programs, it might be a little bit harder, but definitely you need to do your due diligence and try to, I wouldn't say, not only focus on what the website says, but use the website as a tool to go deeper, right? Usually when you go to a website, you will find the names of people that have attended before. You will find the contacts of the professors, of the people in charge of the masters. So you can always write an email and ask some questions. But yeah, definitely use these websites as an introduction and then go deeper than that.
Well, now we're going to move on to preparing documents for applications, right? So there are 4 different elements in the application process. So the first one is going to be your academic qualifications. And now that you are graduated from your program at University of Costa Rica, you have what you have, and you can't change that anymore. But the other 3 elements, right? They are namely your personal statement, your extracurricular professional activities, and the recommendations that you can receive from your referees, right? These are the places where you can strategize and get ahead of your competition while you're applying to very competitive top ranked universities. In terms of professional and extracurricular experience, you are a well-known marine conservationist in your community, so you don't have problem with that. But how did you approach your personal statement? What did you do to prepare your personal statement? I'm asking this because some people, they will rather attend trainings in creative writings or even hire an educational consultant to guide them through the process. So have you ever received any kind of training or guidance from an experienced mentor on how to write an application essay?
Yeah, definitely. Well, that was a great example, what you said there. Once you graduated, right, you cannot change the marking and the grades that you had during your university before. And then a lot of us go to university when we are really young, where we still don't know the kind of focus that we want to give to our career. And it happened to me. I don't have the best academic qualifications after graduating. And I believe that definitely affected my chances going into the university right after graduating. So like I said, I decided to do a lot of field work and become a field biologist. And then back in 2018, I was looking for funding for a project. And I applied for a grant from the National Geographic Society, which is a very competitive grant, but if you have a nice project and you can sell it, it's easy to get one of these grants. And and I became a National Geographic explorer. And that completely changed my personal life, my career, and the way that other people saw the work that I was doing, right? So this type of extracurricular activity changed my life. And, I got the opportunity to attend workshops and to be guided by other National Geographic explorer and National Geographic staff in communication, right? And I mean, in the end, when you are applying to the university, it's all about the communication and how do you sell yourself to these universities in order for them to know that you are the best applicant, right, and the best fit for their project. So definitely focusing on storytelling and making this personal statement story about yourself, and a compelling story, an honest story about yourself and the things that you have achieved, definitely gives a big weight to your personal statement. So yeah, I would definitely recommend getting some storytelling tips, and then figure out how to make this personal statement a very compelling and honest story about yourself and your passions.
Yeah, this is a very interesting point, right? Because I also figured this out when I was interviewing other scholars and people who have received scholarship from top-ranked universities, and I did it as a way to do research when I'm looking for schools, as a way to figure out like what characteristics the top-ranked universities and scholars who are studying at top-ranked universities have. So I identified 7 of them, and one of them is communication, great communication. So in case of Daniel, so you're not really trying to attend these the specific classes on how to write a personal statement, but then you are getting a lot of trainings on how to communicate better, and then you use this opportunity to become a better communicator and a better writer in your when you're doing writing your personal statements, right? So another questions that I would have is, do you think the educational consultants and going to the specific creative writing classes and things like that would help?
I mean, it would definitely help. Definitely, I have no doubts about that. However, you need to do your due diligence and do a lot of good research on the people, right, that are giving these workshops and these classes, right? So yeah, like, I mean, if you find a good person that shares your interest, that works on your topic, then yeah, going to workshops or attending classes can definitely be a very good help.
And what kind of tip do you want to give to a prospective applicant to the top university, right? This is because there's a popular belief going on that if you can elaborate in no uncertain terms about how interested you are to learn this topic or this subject or attend this program, then you're more likely to get an admission, which is partly true, but that's only on the surface and it's not really the case, right? The problem is every single person applying to Harvard, Oxford, or Cambridge, or any other Ivy League schools are literally dying to study there. So everybody is saying that, oh, I'm so interested in study this topic. So what should a prospective applicant really should write in their personal statement, other than Harvard is a top school in the world, so that's why I want to come and then study this topic?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like the best recommendation is to find a program that really fits with your passions and with what you want to do. A lot of people believe that in order to apply for these universities, you need always the best grades, and they think that's the only thing that matters. But then when you get to a course focused on conservation, a lot of the universities are looking more for practitioners than just academics, right? So being able to tell, like I said, your story and not make it about the university, but make it about yourself, your passions, and why you as a person are the best fit for this course, will give a lot of weight to your personal statement.
Yeah, these are the things that you need to do in your personal statements, right? So can you provide me some tips on what somebody should never do in personal statements?
Yeah, I think for me, one of the things that I wanted to avoid the most, like I said, was talking about focusing on the institution itself. And, usually these personal statements have a very limited amount of words that you can write. And you don't want to spend 100 or 200 words just talking about how prestigious and how good the institution is, right? Because the people, the professors already know how good the institution is. So like I said, just try to make it about yourself and make it a good, passionate story about you. And then I think that should be enough.
Yeah, these are the top level tips that you want to do in your personal statement, right? Of course, you will always have to watch out for things like not exceeding the word limit or don't copy and plagiarize from other people's work or things like that. That can really get you rejected by the computer, not even like read by the admission officers, right? If you exceed the word limit by a significant amount, for instance, then you will be rejected right away without getting to the next stage. So yeah, you really need to watch out for. There are a lot of things that you need to watch out for in your personal statement, and the biggest tip that we can offer is make it personal. Like there are a lot of people I've read a lot of personal statement, and they are very impersonal. They are talking about literature reviews and things that are happening, talking about the institutions, the programs that they want to attend, but there's very little information about themselves. But that's probably the biggest mistake that I've seen people make in terms of writing personal statement. Now we are going to do another topic about extracurricular activities, right? So many people think extracurricular activities is something that you really have to do to get scholarships. So for Daniel, do you have any special extracurricular activity that you do with a view to get a scholarship?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, in most of these universities, especially the most academic ones, where it's really important to have a good academic background, usually when you have appearances in conferences and symposiums, or even better, if you have scientific publications in well-known journals, then this will give a very this will make a very good application for a university or for a scholarship, right? Especially in certain cases like myself, where maybe your academic grading or notes during your university were not the best, then having important and significant participations in conferences, symposiums, workshops, and scientific publications give lots of weight to your scholarship application.
So what matters the most when it comes to showcasing your extracurricular activities? So I'm asking this question because many of us, right, we do not do extracurricular activities to get a scholarship, but we do an extracurricular activities that we are interested in, and then somehow we use it while we are expressing ourselves in our personal statements and our work and professional experience, right? So in this case, then nothing is like 100% match, because there is no like a strict guideline on how to do a extracurricular activity to get a scholarship from this university or that program or this program. So how would you customize your extracurricular activities to showcase the best out of you to get into the programs that you want to apply?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, these extracurricular activities, we mainly do it because of our interest and because it's something that we feel it's important, not specifically to get a scholarship. But definitely when you are writing your personal statement, or when you're applying for a program like the conservation leadership program in Cambridge, then definitely you need to emphasize, right, the extracurricular activities that are closely related to conservation or to leadership in this case, right? So if you have ever attended any course on leadership or any conference or symposium related to conservation, then it will give a lot more weight to your personal statement than other activities that may not be that related to the final goal of the program, right? Or the scholarship that you want to get.
how many extracurricular activities did you do during the 5 years that you are preparing for these applications?
Oh, a lot. Like I wouldn't be able to give a precise number, but I wanted to be involved in anything, right? So I went to very academic and scientific meetings and taking lots of workshops on data analysis, on trying to program, right, in order to analyze biological data. I attended lots of conservation programs as well and conferences. And then in the end, when I got this connection with National Geographic, and I suddenly knew that, you know, the storytelling and the communication were things that were going to help me a lot, then I tried to, you know, to shift my extracurricular activities to that side of conservation and try to focus more on communication and stuff like that.
So Daniel, actually, that's the same thing is true for me as well. In addition to doing campaigning for ARV dolphins, I also volunteer at WWF Singapore in their cyber spotter program, where we go online on the e-commerce website and then try to look collect data on illegal wildlife products that are being sold online. And then I also manage two projects funded by University of Nottingham, Malaysia, on wildlife spotting during COVID pandemics. So it's not just one extracurricular activity, but I would say quality matters over quantity. You don't get a scholarship because you do 10 extracurricular activities. If you have one very strong one, it's usually sufficient. But you always, because when you apply, there are a lot of things that are going on, right? So you want to in one of the extracurricular activities, you might want to focus on how academically or your expertise and things like that. And in another, you want to showcase your leadership capabilities. So I would recommend having at least 2 or 3 of them, but at the end of the day, right, you need to have a good result. Like everybody can go out and do extracurricular activities, but if you don't have any result to show for it, then it doesn't matter at the end. So the biggest tip that we like to make is focus on quality over quantity, and then go for the result, not the effort. And lastly, Daniel, do you get paid for the voluntary work that you do at National Geographic and other extracurricular activities?
Normally, no. I did this work as part of an organization back in Costa Rica. So I was being paid by the organization back in Costa Rica in order to apply for these grants and look for funding to carry out the projects. And that's how I got the funding from National Geographic. So they funded a research project for 2 years. And yeah, well, these 2 years I was getting paid by my organization, and yeah, it definitely helps a lot when you manage to get grants from these very well-known institutions, right? Like the National Geographic Society, which is huge.
Yeah, I see. So let's move on to another topic about getting recommendations, right? So recommendations are critical elements for any application. Without them, you will get rejected because it's a mandatory requirement for any application, right? So there are 2 basic types of recommendations, academic and professional, right? So what kind of strategies do you use with those recommendations?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely will depend on the program that you want to attend. So one thing that I say it's very important when you're looking to attend programs in these types of universities. So it's to get, like we said before, very good background information on what the type of program is. And then when I was studying the conservation leadership program from Cambridge, it is very clear for me through the information that they have on the website and the information that I got from previous students, that this program is very focused on practitioners, right? And they are looking for people that have been working, that have been doing some field work, while also being a very prestigious university, right? So for this specific application, I tried to have one very good academic recommendation and one very good professional recommendation. So one person that can talk very good about my academic qualities and also very good about my qualities, at work and doing, actually running a project on the field.
There's also another popular belief that when it comes to recommendation, right, the person who wrote the recommendation matters more than what is written on the recommendation itself. So what's your opinion on that? Do you think the identity of the person or the profile of the person who wrote the recommendation matter at all?
Yeah, I definitely believe it matters. And yeah, not only the name of the person, right, but the background of the person. Like, there are certain institutions and certain universities that will definitely ring a bell in people's minds, being very good institutions and very prestigious. So yeah, I think actually the background of the person writing the recommendation matters a lot more than what's actually written on the letter.
Yeah, actually, it happened to me when I applied to the National University of Singapore, right? One of the academic referee was Dr. Cedric Tan, and then he is the alumni from the university itself. So in the admission interview, so the professor, the person who is administering the interview will ask, like, hey, I've seen that our alumni Cedric Tan have written you a recommendation. So can you tell me more about what you guys did together, and then how do you relate to this person? So it definitely matters, and I believe that because of that recommendation, I got into the university and won a scholarship from National University of Singapore. If I put a different academic referee, I probably wouldn't get that because there's no relation between the university and the referee. So. Another thing that I'd like to ask you, Daniel, is you mentioned in class that you're working for a conservation organization that your family established, right? So this is very common in the developing world when many people are self-employed or they work in the family businesses. But the problem is, with the recommendation is, right? When it is written by family members or your friends or people who are very closely related to you, they are not valid. The admission committee will not consider that is fair evaluation of your capability. So how did you deal with that?
Yeah, that was definitely tricky because yeah, the place that I work is run by, it was founded by my parents. It's managed by my mother. So yeah, there was definitely I couldn't get a recommendation place from my boss, right, or the most important person in the organization that I work with. But then, if you have good connections and if you try to do have your own print and have your own projects and try to, be a good leader, then you have lots of connections. And then, yeah, it shouldn't be too hard to get a connection from a person from another organization or a colleague which you have worked with. So yeah. It was not the easiest thing to do, but yeah, in the end you have lots of connections and then you can definitely get recommendations from a lot of people.
So many people in my country, they wrote fake recommendations. So do you think fake recommendations ever work? And you have this work experience. So in your extracurricular activities or in your professional organization or wherever, you get some people who have written like fake recommendations, right? Can you tell them apart?
Oh man, fake recommendations will never work. And a lot of people don't do it, but a lot of people do actually check and write an email to the person who is recommending you. And then imagine, man, if someone asks, the person that you wrote the recommendation letter for, and then they tell you that it's fake, then you will lose all your credibility. And it's like committing plagiarism in an essay or a personal statement. It will definitely ruin all your chances that you have to get that scholarship or to get into that university.
So yeah, it happened to. I've seen a lot of that too when I was campaigning for ARE Dolphins, right? So there are a lot of people who wants to be join the as a participant, and then I ask for recommendations because I want to have someone who is trustworthy, credible, and hardworking as well. So they provide me with recommendations from their professors or bosses or whoever, right? But the thing is when I actually call them up to the person that who provide the recommendations, a significant percentage of them never return my the email, and then another significant percentage they will admit that oh I don't know this person very well and this person really asked me to do this and keep nagging me about this so I wrote this I copied this and that for him and for this person so it's really bad. So yeah, if you really don't want a referee who would do that as well. So you need to before asking for a recommendation letter, right? You need to build a good relationship with this person. So that person, your referee, will be enthusiastically support your application and not just say like, oh I don't know this person. Well, I did that because he asked for it. That will not go down well with anyone, scholarships or admission committee or whatever, they won't like that. Um, the last thing that I like to ask about is the terms and conditions of a scholarship, right? Well, so you have a full scholarship from the university, right? Many people don't understand is the scholarships are rarely free money, right? They have some string attached to it. So what conditions does your scholarship impose on you, if you don't mind sharing? Do you have to return to your country after the program, or do you have to work in a specific sector or specific company, or do you have to maintain a certain grade while you are here?
Yeah, well, thankfully, my scholarship is not doesn't have that big of regulations on itself, I would say. I do not have to go back to my country to work, and basically all I have to do is attend all the classes, and make sure that that I have good grades and that I'm not failing any of the modules, right? So as long as I'm a responsible student and keep my grades up, then the scholarship people will be happy.
Wow, good for you. So last year when I was in the National University of Singapore, right, the scholarship from the share company, they imposed me to get at the minimum grade B in every single class. So that's a lot of pressure on me. Um, so so we're getting to the end of this interview, and then the question that I like to ask is like, how many scholarships did you apply in your entire life? How many have you tried?
Well, every time that I applied for an international university, I tried to get a scholarship. So I applied like for 3 or 4 scholarships, and then, like I said back before this one that I got in Cambridge, I got rejected in most of them. However, one thing that I feel that it's very helpful from the University of Cambridge is that the people from the program itself will help you look for scholarships maybe that you don't know of or that you don't have access. So even though I applied for 2 or 3 scholarships to try to get into Cambridge and got rejected, the people from the university ended up putting me in touch with another scholarship that was the one that I ended up getting. So I'm very grateful for that, and I think that's one of the coolest things about the whole application process in Cambridge, that they actually help you get a scholarship.
Wow, that's actually very good. And in your entire life, right? Can you give an estimate of how many you have applied and how many you have received?
Oh, well, scholarships in itself to attend international universities, maybe like 5 or 6 applications, and I got rejected in all of them except the last one from Cambridge. So yeah, I mean it's usually a very, very competitive process, and yeah, I mean it's just something that you have to keep working on. Like we said in the beginning, this is not a straightforward process. and yeah, a lot of the times you will get rejected, but the most important thing is to keep on trying, and then eventually you will get one very good opportunity that will change your life.
Yeah, that's the same for me too. It's true that this year I got 4 offers, 4 scholarship offers, but I applied to a lot of scholarships. I can't even count how many anymore. It could be as many as 20 or 25 in my entire life, and I'm very rarely successful in those scholarships. So it's not easy at all. So you can't consider you'll count yourself lucky if you get one if you apply 10 of them. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. It's a very low rate, but yeah, once you get the one you want, it's life changing.
Are you aware of any other scholarships for students in the developing countries to study in conservation, other than in the ones that you are applying to?
Yeah, I mean, usually I would really recommend looking for internal scholarships in your own country. Usually, the ministers of affairs or for foreign relationships, they have good scholarships, and also usually the public universities in developing countries have good connections with universities abroad. So yeah, looking for resources in your own country, it's a very good way to start.
Yeah, in Myanmar, you will get something like Prospect Barmer scholarships or Chai Dream scholarships, but they are mostly for students who want to study in Thailand, right? For the Western countries, you can do something like Shievening scholarships, Fulbright scholarships. These are the country-based scholarships that are given by the government scholarships. So you don't need to work for the government to be able to get those scholarships. And then if you are more focused on the Southeast Asian region, then you can get like ADB, Asian Development Bank or World Bank. They have a lot of resources on and scholarship programs for people who are especially in nature conservation, environmental science, sustainability type of fees. And what else can you think of, Daniel?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So there may be some from the NGOs.
It might be NGOs. NGOs are harder usually because it's very hard for NGOs to get this type of money. There are some big NGOs that can help you, and I mean also if you have ties to these NGOs or if you have been working with these specific NGOs, then they might help you. Like we have some examples in our master's program right now of people being funded by the Wildlife Conservation Society, right, by WCS, and Flora and Fauna International also can help a lot. So if you have good, strong ties with these big organizations, then they can definitely help you. Yeah.
Yeah. So well, thank you very much for joining us, Daniel. So, and thank you for the audience for being with us today. So the thing that we'd like to emphasize is there are always scholarship opportunities somewhere. There are always more scholarships that you can apply, right, Daniel?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities out there, and even though it's competitive and the success rate might be low, I mean, there are lots of opportunities to go for, and I mean if you are persistent, then you'll be able to get them at the end.
Yeah, I agree too. So yeah, fight for it, and eventually you will get something. So good luck with your applications, your school applications, scholarship applications, and we wish you a happy new year.
Merry Christmas.